golf tournaments in town. A lot of charity golf tournaments in town. This one is my charity golf tournament. I'm going to ask you to support this tournament. So we got together. They said, "Hey, let's do a golf tournament." We used to have one of those when Jimmy Barrett was here. I said, "Yeah." They said, "Let's make it a charity." I said, "Great! I have the perfect charity. It's called Tunnel to Towers." I'm sure most of our audience knows what Tunnel to Towers are. It's an organization that was started in the wake of 9/11. There's a gentleman whose brother was a New York City firefighter, and he ran into danger when everyone else was running away and lost his life. And they said, let's do something to honor his memory. So they started the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, and ostensibly was to help first responders and our military. If they're injured or killed in the line of duty, let's do something for those families. And it has grown over the last, 25 years to something really special. And now there are people that at the depth of their pain when they find out that they lost their loved ones in the line of duty, police, fire, or in the military, and they're at their absolute lowest moment, and those widow or widowers are sitting there thinking, what am I going to do? I've lost the parent of my child. I lost my partner. How am I going to make things work? How am I going to make ends meet? How am I going to pay for this house? I don't have that person, my spouse with me. Well, at that moment that they are at their absolute lowest, Tunnel to Towers walks in and says, you know what? We got your back. The American people have your back. We're going to pay off your mortgage. And they do. And it's not like you have to go and fill out a form and make a request and wait years for the bureaucracy to get done. They step up right away and go, hey, we're here for you. You're on your knees right now. We're gonna pick you up, help you put you back on your feet. We're gonna take care of that mortgage for you. We're gonna take care of your family. That's what Tunnel to Tower does. And I know this for a fact because a dear friend of mine lost his son. And I remember seeing this story about a Marine helicopter that went down. And I knew where it was, and I'm like, and it just flashed before my eyes. Oh my God, I hope that's not. And then a little bit later in the day, I saw the name, and I'm like, oh my God. That's my friend's son. So I waited, and I just sent him a text message, and it took us a while to connect because people were everywhere, and I didn't want to be intrusive. I just wanted him to know that I was thinking about him. And then I learned Tunnel to Towers stepped up within a few days and paid off their home, took care of his widow and their kids. That's the kind of people Tunnel to Towers are. She didn't even ask. She said, hey, somebody said, hey, Tunnel to Towers said they're going to take care of your house payment. And they did right away. I mean, that's why I want to raise money for this fine cause. So if you're a golfer and you want to play golf with us, boy, I would love to have you join us. Hunting Hawk, it's September 22nd. I know, talked to a couple people this week. They're stepping up, buying a foursome. I'd love for you to join me that day and help us raise money for Tunnel to Towers. And I've learned that they've stepped up here in our community for a firefighter and their family. I hope they never have to come back here again. But if they do, on September 22nd, you and I are going to help that family that's at their absolute lowest point when they lose their loved one. By playing in this golf tournament, helping us raise the money, we'll pay it forward to Tunnel to Towers and hope that it never gets used here. But if it does, you and I can feel pretty good that we paid it forward. So go to WRVA.com/golf, WRVA.com/golf. Sign up. I think I've got one more whole sponsorship available. There's some other sponsorships available for you as well. But more than anything else, I'm looking for golfers to help fill up our shotgun start. I know I got 2 commitments from people this week. Looking for more, go to WRVA.com/golf. If you have any questions, you can hit me up on the James River Air text line, 833-804. 1140, 833-804-1140. I'll respond back to you, or you can email me, rich4america, rich, the number 4america.com, and you can email me through my website. So again, the date is September 22nd, Hunting Hawk Golf Course. That's Swing for Heroes, and I'd appreciate it if you could step up and help us raise money for Tunnel to Towers. All right, it's 7:09 this morning on Richmond's Morning News. I'm still getting text messages. What is the one single issue that you think is the most important thing as you get ready for the primary tomorrow, and then we'll get to the general election in November? What is the biggest issue on your mind? Is it the economy? Is it control of the House and the Senate? And I'll just throw this at you. If the Republicans lose the House, Donald Trump will be the biggest lame duck in the history of the world, because all they're going to do is they're going to impeach him every month. And if you lose the Senate, you'll get nothing passed. He will be stymied for the next 2 years if you lose control of either one of those chambers. Has anybody thought about that? 833-804-1140. I do want to touch on one thing. This whole story about the WNBA. Dave, I don't know if you saw this. Sophie Cunningham, the enforcer for Caitlin Clark, is now taking on a life of her own. There were two little girls that held up signs after Sophie said, "Hey, I support protecting women's sports." That was it. It wasn't anything. It was just kind of a tweet. And boy, did it start a firestorm. So two little girls show up at a WNBA game. 16 years old. Owner comes over, berates them, asks them if they're blanking insane, and curses at them. People try to trip them. There's some guy who's an executive in Nordstrom. He was over there screaming at him, calling him trash. One of the girls was reduced to tears. Ridiculous. So then people go, you know what? We're rallying around these young girls that are standing up for women's sports in Title IX, and we're going to stand with them. So the next 3 games, Sophie Cunningham becomes the lightning rod, and there are people not protesting but rallying in favor of Sophie Cunningham because she stood up for girls' sports. By the way, I think she might be one of the only professional athletes to ever do that. They're making her into this big hero. She just spoke her mind, what a lot of people think. But here's the thing I wanted to bring up to everybody and point out. That as she stood up for women's sports, and she stood up for these two girls that just had the audacity to show up and say thank you. They didn't have anything mean. They weren't protesting. They were just out there fangirling over Sophie Cunningham. No different than when I fanboy over Steph Curry. But the left just wouldn't allow that to happen. So they started attacking the two high school girls, 16 years old, sitting at the game. And now they have rallies planned for all these places. They go, we're going to go support Sophie. Thank you for standing up for women's rights. In Title IX, they have these rallies out in front of the stadium for Sophie as she comes to town. The last one they had, the last couple, left shows up, starts yelling, screaming, cursing, bullhorns, and actually becomes physical. So I just need to point this out, the hypocrisy of the left. Because on ESPN, are they supporting Sophie Cunningham? Absolutely not. They're questioning everything else under the sun. She's getting mauled out there. I saw a foul the other day. She got hit upside the head. No call. In fact, she got the call against her. And the media, the sports media that I used to be a part of, is not rushing to defend Sophie Cunningham. In fact, they're doing the opposite. They're not defending her. The same people that stood there and told you that Colin Kaepernick had every right to take a knee and were outraged that anybody said, no, that's wrong, are now as silent as church mice when it comes to Sophie Cunningham taking a stance on something. So why is it that Colin Kaepernick got all the support from all the liberals at the sports page of USA Today and ESPN, and nary a word is written in support of Sophie Cunningham? Hey, thanks for standing up. Could you imagine? Let me just, and again, listen, folks, here's the one thing I'm going to tell you. I am sick and tired. I am sick and tired of playing this game that conservatives play all day long, the whataboutism. Well, what about this? No, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just going to point out your hypocrisy, and I'm going to drive right through it. One of the WNBA coaches this week wore a shirt that said, for trans rights. If I were to wear a shirt that was completely opposite of Colin Kaepernick, I would be suspended if I were a coach in the NBA or in the NFL, excuse me. But she could do one to be absolutely that provocative against Sophie Cunningham, and nothing is said. She's allowed to wear that. They didn't tell her to go take that shirt off. And nobody at ESPN points that out. Nobody at USA Today points that out. Now you know what you're dealing with. So here's what I say. Hey, Sophie, I'm behind you. You speak your mind, and I'm going to stand there with you. It's a shame the rest of these hypocrites that were so interested in hearing athletes speak their mind, now we really find out they don't want people speaking their mind. They only want people parroting their opinion. You agree, disagree? Love to hear from you. 833-804-1140. 833-804-1140. All right, today's program is brought to you by